Welcome back. So now that you have done a nice little review on what place value is and got your answers in your boxes here or in your little lines, let's talk about adding and subtracting decimals, the real reason why we're meeting today. When adding and subtracting decimals, we have to make sure when we add and subtract decimals that our numbers are stacked on top of one another correctly. That means when I'm subtracting, the larger number goes on top. I have to have my decimal lines lined up properly. Fill in any missing places with those zeros. Remember those placeholders? That's what we're talking about here. So I put in this really cool anchor chart just to remind you if you had a hard time remembering. The first rule was line them up, drop down that decimal, and fill in the missing places with zeros to put that placeholder. So we're going to practice a few problems together, and then we're going to look at the questions you are going to be answering on your own today. So let's look here. Let's think of a number. Let's do 36 minus 17.3 equals. So first thing I got to do is stack it up. I'm subtracting, so 36 is my bigger number. Even though there are more digits over here, that does not make that a bigger number. 36 versus 17. Think of it that way. I have a whole number of 36 and a whole number of 17. I know that 36 is bigger than 17. So now I need to stack these up. That's my first rule. Remember that anchor chart? Line them up. So let's stack them on top of one another. All right, I have 36. That is a 3 in the tens place and a 6 in the ones place. And then I have 17. Oh, let's talk about this for a second. Where would the decimal be in the number 36? Behind the ones place, behind that 6. Good. So there's 36's decimal place. So 17. There's a 1 in the tens place and a 7 in the ones place. Their decimal, and then 3. So I have them stacked up. My decimal places are directly on top of one another. Next thing I need to do, line them up, drop down the decimal, and then fill them in. So let's drop my decimal down. Straight down. All right, fill them in. We got to put in those missing pieces, these placeholders. So wherever you have an empty space, you need to fill that in with a 0 for your placeholder. Okay, so now let's talk subtraction. Can I have 0 of something and give you 3? No. So I need to borrow. When I borrow from the 6, that now becomes a 5, and my 0 becomes a 10. So now I have 10 minus 3, which is 7. Moving along. Can I have 5 and give you 7? No. So I need to borrow from my 3. Makes that a 2. And my 5 now becomes a 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. So the answer to my problem, 36 minus 17.3, is 18.7. All right, let's add. Let's see. Let's take 18 and 700ths and add 22 and 9 thousandths. So here's our answer, the question we're working with now. Okay. So when you're adding, it doesn't matter about which number goes on top of which number goes on bottom. So what does matter is that I'm adding or subtracting, or that I'm stacking these decimal places right on top of one another. So I'm going to write 18 and 700ths first. Now I need to fill in. I need to make sure that those decimals are stacked right on top of one another. So what I might do is put my decimal right below it. And then I know in front of my decimal here, I have 22. So I have a 2 in the ones place and a 2 in the tens place. So I have those numbers stacked on top of one another correctly. Now let's fill in the 9 thousandths. So I have my numbers stacked up. I have them lined up. Now I need to bring that decimal place down. Ooh. Straight down. And now I need to fill in. What am I filling in with again? A 0. And what's that called? A placeholder. Okay, let's add. 0 plus 9 is 9. 7 plus 0 is 7. 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 2 is 10. So I put my 0 here, carry my 1. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer to 18 and 7/100 plus 22 and 9,000 equals 40 and 79/100. Now let's do a tricky one together. Let's work backwards. Let's do one of these. I'm gonna have 19 and 61/100 minus something is going to get me to 10 and 2/10. So 19 and 61/100 minus something equals 10 and 2/10. How do I solve this problem? What operation do I need to be doing? I need to be subtracting. What am I going to be subtracting? Beautiful. I need to subtract these two numbers to find the missing answer. So stack them up. 19 is the bigger number, so it's going on top. 19 and 61/100 minus 10 and 2/10. Put my decimal right on top of one another. There's a 0 in my ones place, a 1 in my tens place. There's a 2 in my tens place, but there's nothing in my hundreds place. So what do I need to do here? I need to put that placeholder. Beautiful. So 1 minus 0 is 1. 6 minus 2 is 4. 9 minus 0 is 9. 1 minus 1 is 0. So I have 9 and 41/100. So that means if I did 19 and 61/100 minus 9 and 41/100, I would get my answer of 10 and 2/10. You will have 2 problems like this to do by yourself. 2 problems. Okay, so let's look at what you're doing now by yourself. You are going to be responsible for adding and subtracting. Make sure you're paying attention to these operations here. Don't get them confused. All right, and then here's those 2 tricky ones we were just talking about. Use your anchor chart. Use this video. You need to go through and answer these questions. When you have your answers, all you have to do is delete these little line spaces and type in your answer. When you are finished, what you're going to do is you're going to hit share. And you're going to put in B. Hawksworth. And my name's going to pop up. You're going to click it, and then you're going to hit send. When you hit send, that's the only way I'm getting this work. So you're not sending it to me on email. Well, technically, this will go to my email. But you're not emailing me these answers separately. You're not sending me this on Dojo. You are going to hit share, type in your teacher's name, Ms. Hawksworth, click it, and send it. If you have any corrections, I'm going to send this back to you, and they're going to be highlighted in red for corrections. Okay, guys? All right. If you have any questions, email me, Dojo me, whatever you need. When you share this, don't forget your GimKit links down here at the bottom. What you're doing, if you're block 1, clicking this link. Block 2, clicking this link. These are just adding and subtracting decimals and a little bit of place value review as well. All righty, guys. I miss y'all. Happy Monday.